And we're live. Welcome back to the LOOPCast. Today joined by Erica and Josh. Welcome back.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Happy to be back.
Happy to be back. What were you up to on Monday?
I was in, Chicago for some meetings, and as is the case for a, father of, how many do I have? 6. It's like get done with the meetings at 5:30 and drive all 6 hours home. Oh, let's go.
Josh, what do you have any controversial Chicago food takes you'd like to get off your chest before we start the episode?
Well, first of all, like a lot of people think Chicago pizza is the deep dish pizza stuff. That's just Pizzeria Uno, that little stuff. If you actually get authentic Chicago pizza, it's not the deep dish, stuff. It's really good.
So you'd like to go on record, you're anti-deep, are you not a deep dish guy?
I'm not against the deep dish, but
Okay.
It's not Chicago pizza. So people who've been to Chicago restaurants, real authentic Italian places, they'll tell you, no, that's not Chicago. It's just like a chain store thing.
What is Chicago pizza?
Yeah, I mean, it tends to be thinner, pretty thin crust, and man, it just tastes great. And of course, because
is there like a distinctive
A Chicago-ness?
Well, the Chicago people, being Midwestern people, being the best people, will prefer sausage on their pizzas more than pepperoni. They'll do both or whatever, but like a good Italian sausage on I love it. Yeah, it's one of those things like in life, the number one thing they want to sell you, it's like, it's not the best. So they say, oh yeah, pepperoni on pizza. Actually, sausage is better than that. Oh, chocolate's the best. Actually, caramel's better. Oh, bacon's better. No, breakfast sausage is better. Sorry. I mean, you got to learn these things in your time here on Earth.
There's times where I'm reminded, acutely aware that we're from the Midwest. That Josh and I are from the Midwest. Erica, you're kind of like an adoptee in a way. I feel like sometimes you brush out the East Coast elite, but
that means a lot to me, Pogo. I appreciate that.
Midwestern at heart for sure.
You won't hold it against me.
She's definitely a Yankee.
I am a Yankee. I am a frozen chosen from northern New England.
I keep getting closer to the South.
Just the way that our country and like the different regionalisms, of course, like we'd fight in World War, and not we, but like Americans would fight in World War II. And someone from the South, like, oh, yeah, you're a Yankee. And the guy would be like, get really mad, like, no, I'm from Ohio. What are you talking about? And, it used to be that Yankees were only in New England. And then, in fact, Boston, the Red Sox play on like Yankee Way, and it's spelled the other way, Yawkey, I think, or whatever, right off that road. And then it expanded into like, as well as New York. I mean, people from New York were not called Yankees until very recently, actually. The ball team. That's kind of funny.
Classic Yankee magazine was like Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire.
Yeah, it's very much
classic.
Interesting.
Well, I'm a Yank.
I love regionalism.
Not a Yankees fan, but not a Yankees fan.
Just remember, Midwest is the best. That's all.
All right, that's all we need to know.
I will always remember that.
Well, appreciate some fun facts coming in hot on the show. But first, the holidays are around the corner, guys, and I would recommend if you'd like to stay connected to your loved ones, you got to check out Charity Mobile. Okay, Charity Mobile, switch to the pro-life phone company now more than ever. It's important to buy the way you believe and to stop doing business with companies who don't appreciate you or what you stand for. It's time to switch to the pro-life phone company, Charity Mobile. They have the same reliable nationwide coverage as the big guys, and they send 5% of your monthly plan price to your favorite pro-life, pro-family charity, no extra cost to you. Charity Mobile offers a variety of plans from unlimited data and talk and text only, and also a variety of devices from the latest 5G smartphones to basic flip phones. There are no contracts, and their friendly live customer service team is based right here in the U.S. While supplies last, new customers can get a free phone with free activation, free standard shipping, and free travel charging kit as part of their special Christmas offer when you use the promo code LOOPCast. Go to CharityMobile.com and enter the promo code LOOPCast at checkout for 10% off. That's CharityMobile.com, promo code LOOPCast. Thank you so much to Charity Mobile for sponsoring this episode.
That's awesome. CharityMobile.com.
Thanks. Good
Go
stuff.
Off. Okay, so I'd like to get in this first story now, and let's say, how would I put this? So if you were to only read the New York Times, you would have one version of this story. If you saw this on social media, you'd have another version of this story. We'd like to bridge the gap. So I'm going to start with the New York Times version, okay? Here we go. Title being House Republicans target McBride with Capitol bathroom bill.
Hey.
GOP lawmakers whose leaders have pressed to roll back transgender rights around the country moved to bar Sarah McBride, the first transgender member of Congress, from women's rooms on Capitol Hill. So,
rolling back right.
Targeting. Sounds violent. Those House Republicans.
What a
bunch of meanies.
Mm-hmm.
So if I could break this down a little bit, and Josh, I'd be curious a little bit more on decorum rules. Basically, as I understand it, that Representative Nancy Mace, I believe she's from New York, right?
Negative. She is from South Carolina.
South Carolina. Apologies there.
And by the way, she's not like a champion of social conservatism by any means.
No.
In fact, she is functionally pro-abortion. She'll cast a few pro-life votes or whatever, but she has done everything she can to sideline the issue. So, I mean, she's no friend. I would actually prefer her to be replaced eventually by somebody who's actually conservative. She's no conservative. But every once in a while, she's pretty good on a certain issue. So I'm not.
She's no friend, but Representative Nancy Mace, she has drawn about the hardest line you could possibly draw in introducing this bill, basically saying for the next Congress that they have to use Capitol Hill bathrooms that correspond with their biological sex. When asked by reporters, all the reporters are saying, are you targeting this Sarah McBride, formerly Tim McBride, who is biologically male? Are you targeting him? I'm sure they're saying her. Of course, the pronoun stuff confusing here.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically came out swinging saying, I'm a rape survivor myself. I've undergone sexual abuse. Men do not belong in women's spaces. I mean, even during this interview, she said, Sarah McBride doesn't get a say. I mean, this is a biological man. She said that Miss McBride does not belong in women's spaces, women's bathrooms, locker rooms, changing rooms, period, full stop. She has, on the strongest possible terms, said this is not going to happen.
And for this, she's being labeled by the New York Times hard right Republican, whereas Josh just said Nancy Mace is anything but a far right extremist. Hard right, but just for the fact that she's saying men are men and women are women, and they need to be in their own spaces when genitalia are involved. Which just makes sense, right? That is suddenly far right extremism, and good for her. She's like, hey, if being a feminist in this way makes me a bigot, so be it. Bring it on. I will die on this hill.
Right. One thing to be applauded here is that she does not care if corporate media attacks her. And that's one of the things that Donald Trump is trying to tell every Republican. They're going to call you racist. They're going to call you sexist. Screw them. Stick to the truth. Now, you would think, actually, that the New York Times would love Nancy Mace. First of all, she's, routinely tries to sideline pro-life bills. So you'd think they like her just for that anyway. She's the first female graduate of the Virginia Military Institute ever. And, that alone would make her a feminist icon, right? Oh, except she's a Republican. I keep forgetting, right? And she's trying to prevent men from entering into women's bathrooms. Here's a hero. The Me Too movement and try to stop sexual assaults. She's been sexually assaulted and raped. So you would think, if anything, this would be a perfect person for the media to go. And by the way, it's not that House Republicans are gathering, we need to find who's going to be the perfect spokesman for this. Oh, we'll get Nancy Mace. No one tells Nancy Mace what to do. I mean, let's just cut that right.
Oh, that's for sure.
There are some times where Republicans get together and they say, well, maybe we'll pick this guy to be the spokesman because he knows this issue, or he's a veteran or something like that. No one, love her or hate her, no one is telling Nancy Mace what to do. She's doing this on her own because she believes it. And in fact, she had a stronger statement on this issue than House Speaker Johnson did. And then Johnson had to come out a few hours later and be like, I just want to say it unequivocally.
Can we watch that?
I have both.
This is actually really
also, but before we get to that, Josh, remember she was wearing a scarlet A?
Yeah.
Again, that was when she was going after the Republicans or whatever. She does stuff for media attention.
Right. So I guess the way that I think about this too, and I want to get to Mike Johnson's thing as well, is she, to me, seems like a political opportunist. She knows how to get in front of cameras. She knows how to make a big deal of something.
Oh, she does.
Right. That being said, she's doing this on something that I think, even if it is a smart political capture moment, is right and has larger implications beyond just some small spat over Capitol Hill bathrooms. And even before I get into Mike Johnson, I just want to give a little bit of background on this representative from New Hampshire, Sarah McBride, formerly Tim.
That's Delaware.
No, not New Hampshire. Oh, we're bad, but we're not that bad.
Jeez, I just saw General East Coast. Sorry, I'm 0 for 2 today. Okay, but if you want to take a look at this, and here's a picture of before and after. Michael Knowles had a good thread on how, McBride got to where he is. And one of the things that I thought was most interesting is, of course, first he has this video. He's all in on gender mutilation for kids, men playing in women's sports, even though now kind of retreating back to being like, I'm just trying to be a human being like anyone else, serve my constituency. I didn't run on this issue. Of course, full dogma on everything else. But one part that I thought was interesting was this op-ed I saw. And here's a line from it. At an early age, I also developed my love of politics. I wrestled with the idea that my dream and my identity seemed mutually exclusive. I had to pick. So I picked what I thought was easier and wouldn't disappoint people. So there's in this op-ed, there's pretty much an acknowledgement that in order to reach these career goals, she'd have to give up her identity as this lowly straight white man, quickly transitioning, living a transgender life in college, and then basically rising the ranks and being high appointments everywhere, working for very prominent politicians, of course, living somewhat of a debaucherous behind the scenes lifestyle, even though throws on a dress for Congress. So when McBride is going to play the card of I'm just being, trying to serve my constituency, it's a little bit two-faced. There's a lot more going on here, and it's a good thread from Michael. If anyone wants to check it out, I'll throw it in the show notes.
Well, there's a lot of things going on here. I mean, like if you want to try to rise through the ranks of the Democratic Party, try doing that as a white dude.
Right.
I mean,
you need to find some intersectionality, basically.
Yeah, so he can adopt a lifestyle that now all of a sudden people are like, oh, you're a minority. You'll be the first transgender person in Congress. Yay! And so, I mean, he becomes a DEI pick and a way to thumb their nose at the Christian worldview of the world. So that, again, that's part of what's going on with all this gender nonsense. You have some people like this guy. I mean, I think that's maybe he realized that, like, this is my ticket to power. Like I can fake this and do this or whatever. And then if anyone, oh, you're attacking my personality. And I think that's what a lot of the teenagers do. Like you foment a lot of this anti-American, anti-white, anti-male, anti-Christian viewpoint. So then if you're a white Christian dude, you're like, oh, so I just have to adopt like one of these lifestyles so I can no longer be the oppressor, but I'm the victim. That's what the progressive Marxist left has given us. It's like, hate your own country, hate your own culture. And by the way, we have a fix. Just basically renounce, your sexuality and adopt one of these victims. It's that. And the other thing that's fueling it, which may be this guy or not, but like the Bruce Jenners of the world, is this, like, how do you pronounce it? Gynephilia? Where
autogynephilia.
You get this like sexual attraction to wearing a women's dress. And this, again, the point I like to make, I know that our audience tends to be more conservative. And so amongst our conservative Catholic audience, there's more women that dress more traditional. But overall in American population, amongst women don't dress like totally radically different than men. It's only, again, the transgender dudes that wear the dress and the heels. It drives me crazy. I never see anyone in a dress and a heels until I look at a trans dude at some congressional hearing. It's like, give me a break.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite term for like this phenomena of men putting on women's clothing is woman face, right? It's the black face essentially of it's putting on and cosplaying the stereotype of what a woman looks like and how she comports herself. I mean, we think of other examples where it's all pink this and pink that, and it's not
pink face.
Pink face. It's like, but I think that it captures the insult that it is to femininity for these mentally disturbed men. Because I think that at the one point, on one hand, this McBride guy, yes, he did it for political, furthering his career, etc. But there's also a real element here of mental illness that you can suspend that. And
I'm glad you brought that up, Erica.
Yeah, right.
Because this I don't think is helping the case here. So I'm not even going to play this video. It's too vulgar. We have what looks to be somewhat of a disturbed transgender individual putting out on social media saying that he's going to grab Nancy Mace's ratty-looking effing hair, drag her face to the floor, repeatedly bash her head until there's blood everywhere, and kill her in a bathroom, saying that he hoped to meet her in this bathroom. She's getting, this is at 8.3 million views. I don't think this is helping the argument put forth by Sarah McBride.
Right. That it's just, I'm just trying to live my life and be me. No, you are mentally disturbed. You're no longer in touch with who you are as a human person. You need help. And a healthy society would respond to someone exhibiting these kinds of behaviors and say, let us help you to realign your feelings with your biological reality. That's what a healthy society would do. That would be the kind thing to do.
Right.
That drove me crazy with the McBride statement where he comes out and he says, I just want to come represent my constituency, and I hope the Republicans can show me kindness. I'm like, let's define kindness here, right? It isn't kindness to lie to someone who is mentally disturbed, because that prevents them from ever healing in any way. It's also not kindness to say to rape victims, former rape victims and survivors of sexual abuse, oh, you have to let a physically intact male into your bathroom and be confronted with that every day. That is not kindness. So let's get the term straight. But they throw this lingo around to capitalize on our post-Christian feeling that, oh, wait, I'm not being kind? Oh, gosh, I should let the male in the girl's bathroom.
Right. And so
I hate weaponizing kindness against
yeah.
Christians. I'm done with it.
It's the same thing they do at the border with immigration. Welcome
don't-
the stranger.
don't
Weaponize welcome.
we have a
Oh, sorry. I'm going to get Josh on the other article.
Okay, so we have this, of course, has now gotten large enough to where they're asking Mike Johnson about it. And so he had two different answers that I think
Speaker
are
of the House,
worth
right?
playing. Speaker of the House. This was him in the morning, and then he gave another one in the afternoon. Here's the morning one.
Is freshman-elect Sarah McBride a man or a woman?
Look, I'm not going to get into this. We welcome all new members with open arms who are duly elected representatives of the people. I believe it's a command that we treat all persons with dignity and respect, and we will. And I'm not going to engage in silly debates about this. There's a concern about the uses of restroom facilities and locker rooms and all that. This is an issue that Congress has never had to address before, and we're going to do that in deliberate fashion with member consensus on it, and we will accommodate the needs of every single person. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Do you?
Okay, so
I mean,
that's
it's not wholly objectionable in and of itself. It's just that
Right.
apparently he wasn't prepared for that, and he gave the best answer he could for when he didn't have a ready response.
Here and be very.
And someone apparently gave him a call and said that wasn't good enough. So this is what happened
Probably
in the
Nancy
afternoon.
Mace.
Hello, everybody.
Probably Jesus.
I just want to make a statement for all of you here and be very clear. I was asked a question this morning at the leadership gaggle, and I rejected the premise because the answer is so obvious. For anybody who doesn't know my well-established record on this issue, let me be unequivocally clear. A man is a man, and a woman is a woman, and a man cannot become a woman. That said, I also believe, that's what Scripture teaches, what I just said, but I also believe that we treat everybody with dignity. And so we can do and believe all those things at the same time. And I wanted to make that clear for everybody because there's lots of questions. But that's where I stand. I've stood there my whole life, and those are facts.
Okay, but
go.
again, he makes it. He's a little too personal with it. It's like, it's my belief, man. Actually, what you should have said is, and by the way, that's what U.S. law is. The United States law recognizes that there are two sexes, male and female. So why would we just go ahead and go rogue? Like, no, we would have bathrooms that comport with our laws naturally, with our bodies naturally.
I think the objection there, I mean, yeah, I had another objection, but I think that the objection there would be not anymore, right? Ever since there are now regulations that interpret our laws so that there is not just male and female, but there's gender identity. That's
No,
the
I know,
legacy
but-
of all the I get it. Like, technically male and female under law, but I think the legacy of the Obama Biden years is going to be that they blew that up with their regulations. That being said, my other objection to the way Speaker Johnson said it there was he falls back on scripture. He's like, male and female, male can't become female, female can't become
I don't
That's what the
problem with it.
scripture says. I do, because I think that it's limiting and it's putting into a box of saying, well, that's his religious opinion. And is he entitled to it? Absolutely. But this is where I think Catholic social teaching needs to come and inform more of our public servants. It's not just because the Bible says so. This is natural law. This is a truth accessible by human reason and common sense.
Sure.
So it's not just for Christians. It's not that he's accidentally a Christian and it's his
Well,
personal.
God made, the creator made us male and female comes from obviously the book of Genesis, which even the Jews would be able to agree with. And we
It's
have
in
in
there.
we have in our Constitution and our Declaration of Independence, these founding documents, references to our creator. We can provide natural reason arguments, sure. And we can also lean on, yeah, you know what? God made us male and female. Deal with it. Like, I don't have a problem with that. Like, that's in our documents. And if you have a problem with that, that's fine. But we're not going to change everything we do because of 1% of the population. But here's the interesting thing. Like, you had that video you posted with that, we wouldn't air the video, but that freakazoid that was threatening to harm Congresswoman Mace. We do have what I would call kind of an inflection point here, where we have to decide what it is we are going to be as a people. Are we going to completely ravage all of our customs, all of our laws, because of a very small few who I think are actually, and pretty demonstrably so, mentally off?
Mhm.
And we, like, what they need is they need some help. They need some therapy. Talk through some different things. Like, why do you want to wear a dress? Why do you want to pretend like you're a woman? Like, the homosexuals in the 1980s were acting a lot, not like they were all threatening violence like that person in the video did. Okay, I'm not trying to equate it perfectly, but they were going to Catholic masses and like trying to attack the priest and wear all these rainbow sachets
Right.
and trying to attack the Eucharist and like and shout at people. And the gay rights movement got together and said, "Hey, dude, we can't do this anymore. If we want to change things, we have to act like boring Republicans from the suburbs, and we have to have, safe comedies like Will and Grace to let everyone think like, oh, who cares what they do in their beds." The trans communities, if they want to follow that same movement, then they could ravage the law just like the gays have done over the last 20 years. And so we need to realize, hey, look, before they get normalized and like safe, like, dude, this is not normal behavior to dress up in other person's, in the opposite sex clothing and to try to go into bathrooms. Like, this is abnormal behavior, and we're not helping you by letting you do what you want to do. We're helping you by getting you the help you need.
I have less, let's just say I have less faith that there will be a normalization of this because there's so many hormones at play. I don't know. I think at this point, thanks to documentaries like What is a Woman or whatever, more of the large public are aware. But for example,
we're pushing back more on it.
If you were to do a lot of these procedures to yourself, that's lifetime on a catheter. That's taking testosterone levels that obviously are not natural to your body. It's chemically castrating yourself. Like, those are like that messes with your brain and your function in a way that I think is different than, say, like the homosexuals of the 80s.
Having gay sex.
I just have less faith they'll go that route. And it's unsurprising to me that people aren't saying on social media. And I think if I could, though, because I just saw this, and you're mentioning like lawfare. So there's a spa, a Korean spa in Washington. Owners are Christian. A federal judge just tried to make an argument that by saying, and this is a spa where nudity is custom, obviously separated men and women. A federal judge said that by keeping biological men out of the women's part of this spa is likened to a whites only policy.
Yeah.
In the fact that they were derobed, basically thrown out by the bar for that argument is unbelievably, but these are real arguments going on right now. So do I think like all the points people are trying to make of like, this seems frivolous, it's a weird attack, like it's bigger than this. It's symbolic of, and especially with the new momentum from the Trump campaign, what kind of country do we want to live in? And that's why I think this isn't frivolous, and even it may be political opportunism, but I do think that it matters. And for Mike Johnson to really unapologetically and calmly deliver the truth and set a standard here is going to send ripple effects to the rest of the country. Whether or not, my daughters have to play sports with men in them, whether or not I can trust that my wife is safe in restrooms. I mean, it's crazy. There's real implications here. So I'm happy that this fight has been picked up for whatever reason it's been picked up. I think it is important.
Right.
Yeah,
I do think it's good, and it's also. Well, go ahead, Erica.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I am glad that it is being played out so publicly. I do think that Mary Margaret Olohan has pointed this out, and she's with her work with the detransitioners that the trans issue is really a sleeper issue this election in some ways, that it wasn't on the radar, and the suburban mothers especially would come for would lean to the Trump campaign because they don't want their daughters on sports teams with boys. And people are dismissing it like, oh, that's just, it didn't have anything to do with it. Nobody campaigned on the trans issue, blah, blah, blah. Well, Trump's ad on Kamala Harris is for they, them, Trump is for you. That that was a huge factor, I think, in Pennsylvania, especially because people really do care, and people in their bubbles who don't have children in New York and on the West Coast, they don't realize that there are real parents out there who are confronting this issue in their schools concretely every day. I mean, just here in Connecticut, we just had the girls' field hockey team won because their star player is a boy who looks like he's wearing a mustache in the pictures. Like, he is not even pretending to look like a girl.
I think that's the game changer.
Yeah, it's really, really happening. And if I could just say one thing, because someone in the chat was asking if we could do a whole show addressing gender dysphoria versus transgenderism. So I did an interview over on the Edify channel. You can go over and check that out with Dr. Quentin Van Meter. It was a great conversation. He was there at the beginning with John Money at Johns Hopkins, and he talks about these distinctions and what it actually means to have this mental illness and this dysphoria that it's so called. So I would say go check out that conversation if you want a long form discussion of the issues at play.
Didn't you also talk to Chloe Cole?
Yeah,
I didn't. I did
or
not.
Did Mary?
She was on. Yeah, that was a little earlier iteration. We have an interview with Chloe Cole as well.
We've talked to her.
I think the difference between this fight, let's say, and the gays fight, is that a lot, as social conservatives, we're trying to express, like, we can't change the laws, and a lot of other people in our coalition on the Republican side are like, who cares? Who cares? I just want to bomb countries or cut taxes. Right. But at least this one, it's cutting across, and other moms are like, well, wait a minute now. For exactly what Erica said, I don't want them to be injured during a soccer or a volleyball game. So that's one element of it. And the other element is, you know what? I do think the gay lifestyle is harmful overall, obviously, but it presumably only affects like people who want it, I guess, in a sense. Whereas the trans thing, look, you're mutilating these kids, and as you say, you're putting them on these drugs for the rest of their life. It's affecting how they go to the bathroom in a very obvious way. It also affects like their sexual pleasure. So even people who are like not inclined to listen to the Catholic Church's ideas on human sexuality and the body and all that other kind of stuff can still go, gosh, yeah, that's kind of crazy. We don't let kids get tattoos at 11. Maybe we shouldn't have gender transition surgeries for them either. So there is, I do think, but we got to stand up for these kids. We got to explain what's going on. And I think those ads by Trump and Terry Schilling's group, American Principles Project, and our own ads with this Catholic vote, I think we were able to reach a lot of Americans to say, you know what, this is not a good idea.
Amen to that. We've got a lot to get to today, but something I'm excited to talk about. You may notice my background today. I'll maximize my screen.
Well, let's check it out. The display.
Whoa.
Pogo's apron.
I got an apron behind me.
Yep. Nice.
I have a la cocotte. Can you pronounce that, Erica?
I don't know what you're saying. That's just a cast iron Dutch oven.
A very cool emerald cast iron Dutch oven.
It's beautiful. We've got some table settings. We've got napkins.
Theology of the Home.
Oh yeah, one of my
manual.
Mm-hmm.
And even more stuff. This is only the tip of the iceberg, but they feminized my background today, all for Erica to tell us a little bit more about Refine. So can you get into that for us, Erica?
Yeah, you bet. So we have an exciting announcement. I had one baby this year physically, and now I'm having another baby this year in the world of media. So this is Refine. Did you like that? Was that a good tie-in? I like being able to say stuff like that on LOOPCast. I'll be more professional in other areas of my career. All right. So basically what we're doing with Refine, from the creators of The Loop, Josh Mercer being first and foremost among them, we're looking at our clicks and we're saying, okay, we love our loopers. Not only are they really politically engaged, but they just love the lifestyle pieces as well. Often our top 2-3 click, number 2 or 3 click will be to one of the lifestyles. So something in home, relationships, living style, food, both those recipes on the weekend. We're like, what if we gave people an option of opening more of what they want? So Refine is going to be, we're launching on Black Friday next week, and it will be currently 3 times a week. You will have all that great content delivered straight to your inbox. We're really trying to build something where we're emphasizing the timeless over just the trending, the passing. We want to encourage the building of the good life apart from conspicuous consumption. So I say once in a while, Pinterest poisoning. Have you guys felt that? Josh, Tom, you feel Pinterest poisoning? You just keep scrolling and you're like, oh my gosh, all this stuff I could never afford. I could never do this. I could never, you just start comparing yourself to other women. Does that happen to you, Josh, all the time? And I mean, women. Often. And so, all this trans stuff, I got a little confused going into this, but basically that's what we're doing. And to launch, we are offering this giveaway is worth $1,000. It is beautiful home goods called Recipes for Life, all pertaining to the kitchen. Our theme is emerald green and sage green. I love it. So go ahead and
some lucky lady out there will get Tom's apron.
Yes,
that's right. That's right.
Straight from my background, which would be sad because usually I wear it, but I'll have to give it up. And someone did recommend, hey, maybe we could start another podcast in all of our free time called the Soupcast.
Soupcast. I like it. Soupcast, Loopcast. I get it, Ken.
But if I were to say, if I can to say, if you like Erica, which many of you do, you go follow Refine. This is going to be Erica's aura all over this product. It's going to be great.
Be so much fun.
So where can you send people for this?
Yeah. So I'm going to send you to your Loop this morning, and we'll check that. I'm gonna put in the chat in just a second the link to the giveaway. So let's have that going on in there. Rosie, I'm gonna send it over to you, and everyone who's in there right now, just go ahead and click. Otherwise, check out this morning's Loop.
Well, in that email, I think you're gonna do just a great job with it, because we have some really talented people who scour the web finding the best articles. We have our own writers that also write great stuff. But also, obviously, Erica, you have a great sense of what's going to be interesting. So I think you'll do a great job with that.
Oh, thanks so much. Great writing team.
People in the chat are killing me right now with some of these comments. Tom, can you autograph the pot? If you want.
The apron, right? He should autograph the apron.
I think you should autograph the apron. We can put that on the giveaway.
Yeah, exactly. Pop it on the giveaway. I'll autograph whatever you want. Someone said Tom going full Catholic homestead. Correct. Yes, I live a Catholic homestead.
He shaves his mustache, and now he's got the apron.
It's not trending in a great direction for me so far. But yes, happy to autograph whatever you need.
Okay.
It's sick though, I promise. I'm excited.
It's beautiful. It's also, we partnered with Theology of Home. We partnered with House of Joppa. We partnered with Monk Manual. So all these really great solid Catholic brands. It's an awesome giveaway. And the link is now in the chat. It's amazing. You are correct, Rosie. Thank you so much.
Booyah. Check
it out.
Okay, doesn't get much better than that. But we got plenty to get to today. So on to the next story. So we're starting to get a little bit more of a picture into Trump's plan for mass deportations. And that's been a campaign promise. I'd say he's ran on for 10 years at this point. And what I thought was especially interesting about it was it seems that he has communicated the rhetoric angle to his team. So that would be Tom Homan, and then also have another video to show. But I want to start with this Homan video just as kind of a table setter. I really see this as a completely game-changing angle. So we're going to run it now.
It's going to work. So how will it work?
Well, look, I think the president's been clear on the stage. As far as the deportation operation, we will prioritize public safety threats and national security threats because they pose the biggest danger to the United States. Security, he's got 3 rails. So we'll do the deportation operation with the priorities I just talked to you out of the gate. That'd be the priorities. Second thing is secure that border. Lock that border down and catch and release and secure the border. The third rail is we got over 300,000 missing children. that that over 500,000 children have been trafficked into the United States. This administration released them to unvetted sponsors, and they can't find 300,000 of them. And based on my 3.5 decades, some of these children are in forced labor. We already found some in forced labor. Some are in forced sex trafficking. Some are living with pedophiles. We need to save these children. So that's going to be the third rail.
But what do you,
I love
Three
it.
rails.
Yep.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Now, did
Make
you
it simple.
notice that his emphasis on the exploitation of children, women and children and migrants at the border? I actually like to think that Catholic Vote had some important role to play in this, because too often on the conservative side of things, on the right, the emphasis simply on they broke the law, they're causing crimes, let's send them home. Which that part is true. Obviously, Laken Riley is dead, and they're having the trial now, and people are still just reeling over that. And someone who came into our country illegally murdered a woman, an innocent woman, a University of Georgia student. So it's not that you can't say that. Of course, you can say that, but you should also emphasize that it is actually women and children of even the migrants themselves who are being exploited by these policies, and that's why we put out our, a commercial on this back in the beginning part of the year, and as well as our report, Bad Samaritans, which I would recommend people to go check out and take a look at. You can read the report. You can listen to it, and it talks about how Biden and Harris had used, lax policies, wide open border, and allowed exploitation of tens of thousands of people that were being raped or assaulted or put into work slavery situations. It's not helping anybody. And if you want to stop this kind of harm, you're the good guys. I'm sick and tired of Jesuits like James Martin that try to make people feel bad and like, oh, you support Trump, he's racist, he's xenophobic. Yeah, he's so racist that like all the Hispanics are voting for him. Sure, run with that.
Yeah, I mean, just this morning, Father James Martin reposted one of these Homan things, and he says, quote, "Welcome the stranger," with the Bible verse. And you're like, did you even listen to the man's argument? No, he didn't. He's just like, oh, knee-jerk reaction. Trump.
We're not going to let James
Orange
Martin
MAGA.
bumper stickers shut us down. I'm sick
That's
of that
right.
stuff.
And even stronger on this, I have another quick clip I wanted to show. Former Border Patrol agent J.J. Carroll.
I state without reservation that the United States federal government is the world's largest child sex trafficking organization in modern history. The probability that thousands of these UACs are being raped at this very moment is 100%.
Wow.
That's just chilling. What a shame.
But on the FJM point, Josh, he's not the only one. And someone sent this in, maybe even LOOPCast, but there's a post-election message from Bishop Stowe of Lexington, Kentucky.
Oh,
and
yes, I know him well.
We know him well, but I want to.
We should use his full title because he's not diocesan. He's
OFM?
Urban Order. So it's Bishop John Stowe, MSNBC. Make sure we get that in for the record.
The acronym.
So I'm going to get towards the end of it, but for all the people saying like, oh, we're scared to speak out, priests scared to speak out for their C3 status. I'd like to offer Bishop Stowe as a anecdote. So quick read. Will the effect of a multiply convicted felon provide any impetus for the necessary work of criminal justice reform? Not if some people never face a penalty while others are left without a voice or vote for years for lesser offenses. Will the election of a jury-determined rapist cause women to think their own defense just got much tougher in every sense? I'm afraid so. Will the re-election of someone famous for stiffing workers, leaving bills unpaid, and denigration of unions affect the rights of workers and the ability to advocate for just and fair wages and treatment? It seems so. Will the election of someone who stubbornly believes in his own faulty understanding of how tariffs work help the economy? Can't see how. Will someone who ignored and then mishandled a global pandemic and put the lives of millions of U.S. Americans at risk really be capable of his constitutional duty to protect us? He has demonstrated that he can't. Will someone who enjoys the company of brutal autocrats hold up the founding ideas of U.S. American democracy? Not likely, at least not without our constant and loud protest. What faces us as Pax Christians is the question of how hard we are willing to work for peace and justice, to end systemic racism, and to conserve the planet, to redirect resources from weapons to the common good.
I
comes back to
love
that
the
question.
irony of this. This makes me so happy. I love this. This is so sweet. Bishop John Stowe, the only bishop to endorse the Equality Act, which would shut down Catholic agencies over this gender nonsense, right? I mean, it's a horrible bill. He endorsed it, even though U.S. bishops are against it, obviously, as they should be. But he's writing this article denouncing, of course, not technically by name, but obviously he's talking about Trump.
So subtle.
He's denouncing Donald Trump on Pax Christi, a pacifist website. Donald Trump, the only president in the last 40 years who didn't start a war. Donald Trump, the guy who's trying to get us out of the Ukraine-Russia conflict, as the guy currently in power, the Biden-Harris administration, are rapidly trying to start a war with a nuclear power.
Right.
You would think on the one issue the website, the single issue voter that this is, they're Catholic pacifists. You would think, okay, well, I hate Trump for about 700 reasons, but I got to give him on this. He's not. It's like, this is the issue for Pax Christi. You would think they would celebrate Donald Trump as the guy who disentangled us from wars, who didn't start wars.
Josh, actually, I'm glad you asked. Their vision statement: Pax Christi USA is a membership organization that rejects war, preparation for war, every form of violence and domination, and personal and systemic racism.
Oh, whoa.
Very
racism.
It's absolutely in violation of Catholic social teachings on the just war theory. I mean, look, you don't have to be, a Robert George Weigel, 2005 Catholic, neocon war bomber type. I don't want that. You shouldn't want that. We should be well beyond that. Millions of people died in the Iraqi war. Massive mistake. Own it, acknowledge it, and move on. But, Pax Christi, you love pacifism. So you would think Donald Trump would be great.
Well, interesting, Josh.
Well, or I was just, okay, if I may. Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say this.
Yeah.
Or I see no statement in their urgent action recent posts. There is nothing about the fact that Joe Biden in his dotage in his last months is pushing us into a possible nuclear conflict with Russia by his reckless okaying of, oh yeah, Ukraine, you can now use our long-range missiles into the Russian homeland. Right after Vladimir Putin says, if you do this, we have just adjusted our nuclear protocol. We can respond with nuclear weapons if a power attacks us with weapons from another nuclear power. Guys, where's Pax Christi here?
Yeah. It just basically means that any deal, any negotiation to try to end this conflict, you're now going to have to up the ante and give in to Russia a little bit more to try to prevent something from getting way out of hand.
Exactly.
It's funny. The same people that think Dave's fault is white supremacism have Slava Ukraini in their Twitter bio. Interesting how that goes. But yes, this is days after Biden authorized Ukraine to use these long-range missiles, and then even breaking as of this morning, Ukraine has now shot British missiles into Russia as well. And it does feel like, and I even saw Blinken as well trying to funnel as much money as possible into Ukraine.
He's an SOB.
Before Trump takes over. So
yeah, I was trying to listen to some analysis of this. It seems like what the Biden administration is trying to do, other than a peaceful transfer of power. Can I just say, okay, before I get into that, this whole crap about we would like a peaceful transfer of power and we're going to sit down with President Trump and shake his hand in the White House while starting World War III over, that is not a peaceful transfer of power going on there, guys. Anyway, so the Biden administration, we know that Trump has promised he's going to force these guys to come to the table. We're going to have negotiations. So the idea is, let's get Ukraine as much territory to negotiate with as possible before the January 6th, 20th transfer of power. So we're going to try and get them a big offensive right now and use all the weapons now. That being said, however, Russia already updated its nuclear response doctrine. And it's saying that conventional weapons attack by a non-nuclear power backed by a nuclear power, that's us, that's Great Britain, can be responded to with nuclear weapons. So I'm hoping we get through the next 2 months to where we can negotiate peace. This is absolutely reckless.
Boy, do I agree. So we have some mailbag. We also have a couple quick hitters. Okay, I'm going to go through the quick hitters first, and we'll get into our mailbag. So, on a lighter note, it looks like we're going to have the canonization of Blessed Carlo Acutis coming up, Jubilee for Adolescents, between April 25th and 27th. Pier Giorgio Frassati, blessed, during the Jubilee of Young People, July 28th through August 3rd.
The bros are back.
I tend to be kind of, old school in the sense that I don't like people to be canonized too quickly. But I'm going to say I love this. I love Carlo Acutis. And
even Josh's heart is warmed.
I do. I pray to him. I consider him the patron saint of the internet. And I think to myself, why do I say that? And I'd like to encourage other people to make him, your patron saint of the internet. And the reason I say that is here's a man, young man. He's the opposite of the Augustine Saint Monica, right? Mm-hmm. So Monica, the mother, prays for 19 years, prays and prays and prays and prays, and gets his son Augustine back into the church, and he becomes a light for the church across centuries, right? Well, Carlo gets onto the internet, gets excited about Jesus Christ in the Eucharist, and he researches all these Eucharistic miracles. He puts together this exhibit. It has now gone around the whole world, including the Marian Center in Petoskey. And his mom is like, whoa, and she gets excited and interested, and she comes back to the church because of her son. Mm-hmm. And then he dies of leukemia at age 15. And I think to myself, here is a man, a young boy, really young man, who loved Jesus Christ and his Blessed Mother so much. He's like, the internet, this is awesome. I can communicate to people all over the globe and talk about Jesus and learn more about all these Eucharistic miracles, all these apparitions of Mary. And I think to myself, what am I doing on the internet? What limited time do I have to glorify God through this wonderful device that we have, which is an amazing technology? Am I using it for frivolous, stupid things? Am I doing immoral things with it? Like Carlo, Blessed Carlo Acutis, soon to be Saint Carlo Acutis. Pray for us. Be our patron saint as we go through the internet. I think he's a great guy. I love him.
Amen. 100%. All of that.
Amen to that. So bringing it back down. So I do want to cover this because I've seen... even myself, I've kind of been confused with the situation. So the Matt Gaetz situation, there's a House ethics report that is kind of this bombshell that they're saying that they have stuff on them. They have pictures, they have whatever. I just even want to put this out there as I didn't really know until I dug into it a little bit more. Do I think Matt Gaetz is the paragon of virtue and has never done anything wrong in his life? No. I'm sure that he's probably been mixed up in some not great stuff. That's just my sense and my instinct. Is what he's being accused of legitimate by legitimate people? Also, no. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Trump situation, which of course we understood
Stormy
Trump
Daniels.
did not. Right. Trump, of course, also not paragon of virtue in his life, but what he was being attacked on was technically wrong. And so I wanted to bring up this thread here from Charlie Kirk on what is this House ethics report that they keep waving around on Matt Gaetz, and maybe why people are a little bit fearful of Matt Gaetz becoming the Attorney General. So the report has come years after the Department of Justice has dropped its investigation into these claims. Okay, the claims, I believe they're he paid a minor for sex. I believe it was 17. Why did the Department of Justice drop the investigation? The claims hinge on the testimony of two witnesses who have such gaping credibility issues that even the Department of Justice, which hates Gaetz, knew no jury would ever convict him. And so who are these witnesses? Joel Greenberg, he's been described as, quote, one of the most corrupt Florida politicians of all time, has literally made false sex allegations against a politician before, accused of an innocent school teacher who was running against him for tax collector of having sex with an underage student. Sound familiar? Judge called the lies downright evil. 2, Greenberg became embroiled in a series of crimes and faced a possible 27 years in federal prison. One of these crimes was having sex with an underage minor, the same 17-year-old who is the central character in the claims against Gaetz. But even Greenberg claims he didn't know she was underage because she lied about her age. She's now active on a pornographic site, selling sexual access for money, and has appeared in porn videos. Go figure. According to the 2023 lawsuit, Greenberg repeatedly begged Gaetz to secure a pardon for him, and when Gaetz refused, Greenberg vowed vengeance. An inmate who shared a cell with Greenberg told 2 federal agents that Greenberg told him that the woman would be willing to adopt Greenberg's lie in hopes of a future financial benefit. Greenberg admitted to paying the woman's legal bills in a text to the friend. Yes, this is all ridiculous. Yes, it's all clearly contrived lies. Will the media still use this to tar and feather Gaetz? Absolutely. Gaetz has made a career of picking fights that no one else in Washington had the stomach to pick. They fear him at DOJ more than anyone. And if you scroll down a little bit, interestingly, I found a strategy play from Nancy Pelosi. And Josh, I thought you'd especially appreciate this. This is Nancy Pelosi defining a wrap-up smear.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made.
Oh my
right.
gosh.
She's actually rightly calling out this sort of, vicious thing that the media does. Yet the problem is her side does it all the time.
Yeah.
And so like the Department of Justice saw there was nothing here, nothing to prosecute. So leave it at that, right? No. They got to leak it. They got to leak that document to the Washington Post or whoever else. Washington Post, I mean, anything the CIA or any alphabet agency. Oh, sure, yeah. Let me just. They publish leaks all day long, and for clicks, and for access. It's corrupt and it's disgusting and it's a smear. And once you smear someone like that, there's no getting back. That's the whole thing with Brett Kavanaugh. He looks like. I mean, I honestly before you hear anything, you look at him he looks like a nice dad. Like he might coach a basketball team. He looks like a nerd.
I like beer.
He looks like he likes McDonald's a little too.
Right.
I like beer.
He likes a little beer, whatever. He's the kind of guy, whatever. He was part of a serial gang rape gang in 1983 in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. Right.
And we never heard about it.
Right.
a rape gang. They just smear. And they just, we're just reporting on it. So this is what I say. And people will believe the smear.
Yeah.
So you brought this up, Josh, and I didn't even show you this before. They have 3 moves: the Kavanaugh, the Nixon, and the Kennedy.
Yes.
For Gaetz, they went with the Kavanaugh. They've tried all 3 on Trump. Shout out Wade Stotts. He's got a very entertaining show.
I love Wade Stotts.
So, you know what? My philosophy on this one should be, of course, if there's nothing there, if the Justice Department, which hates this guy, is investigating it and they can't find anything, then there's probably nothing there, people.
Yeah.
And also, if I were Ron DeSantis, this would be a really wonderful opportunity to tell Senate Democrats, if you ain't got nothing on this, and if you're not going to confirm him, I guess I'll just make him a member of the United States Senate.
There you go. He's
Scare
got
the
his feet open.
on there.
Well, Josh, you shared this earlier too. Even The View, I think, has an understanding of what they can and can't do legally. Here's a great before and after.
Beautiful.
This is beautiful
How
moment.
could you nominate someone with allegations of child trafficking trafficking across state lines and having sex with a 17-year-old? My understanding, further on in the interview, they discussed the fact that once he finds out that she's 17, he stops having sex with her.
Sonny, you have a legal note.
I do have a legal note. Thank you, Whoopi.
Her facial expression
Matt
here.
Gaetz has long denied all allegations, calling the claims, quote, invented, and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism, that DOJ investigation was closed with no charges being brought.
We'll be right
Yeah, we'll be right back.
I mean, what a talk about a Korean prisoner of war torture statement.
Oh my gosh, I love seeing someone got to them because with Mike Johnson, someone was like, you should just clarify that, and he very gladly came out later in the afternoon and said, a man is a man, a woman is a woman, and he was very happy about
and that's
it.
actually his thoughts, right?
Yeah.
It is he was like, oh, you're right, I should be more clear about what I actually believe. We'll do it. And then Sunny, on the other hand, she's like, someone got to her, they hand her the note, and she's like,
well, and just give me if I can go a little bit here, 2 minutes, not on The View per se, but just on the whole appointments. And Gaetz is considered pretty radioactive. And Donald Trump had talked about exercising his authority as president to make recess appointments, which just made Beltway Republicans and obviously the far left freak out about recess appointments. Like, this is really dangerous precedent. No, this is not how we do things. Where does Donald Trump, by the way, where does Donald Trump think he has the power to make these recess appointments? What? Oh, what? What is that? Oh, it's in the Constitution. Ruh-roh. I mean, come on, people.
Well, Obama did tons of them.
Well, no, he didn't actually get to do it as many, because what happened is Mitch McConnell got in there and he put the brakes on it. And basically over the last 10 years or so, no one's been able to make recess appointments because the Senate never goes into recess.
Mm-hmm.
That's their little trick. Like all the congressmen and are all back home, and all the senators are back home except for what they rotate. So one senator from Virginia or Maryland comes in for a day, gavels the session for 3 minutes. Hey, we're open. Okay, we're closed. They do that these pro forma 1 minute sessions, just that they never allow any president to have recess appointments. And the point is, what is going on? They don't want to give up any of their power. You have to understand something. For the first 130 some years of our country, when the president says, here's my cabinet, and the Senate would go, okay, sounds good. And they vote up or down on these guys within a day. That's not the way it is anymore. Again, all the customs, mores that we have as a culture and as a Senate and the body and the rules and regulations, they all get distorted, pulled, stretched, and broken. Mostly, yes, by Democrats. And then when Republicans say, well, you're going to do that, then we'll do it too. And that's when the media freaks out, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So you have these situations where my good personal friend, Joe Sella, was nominated to be ambassador to Fiji. Well, gosh, I love Joe, and Fiji is, it's not, they're good people or whatever.
I'd be the ambassador to Fiji.
But it's not like Secretary of Defense. We got to make sure we examine the person who's going to be in charge of our military. It's Fiji. They dragged it out for 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
Josh, don't downplay that. They'd be the ambassador to Survivor. That's where they have it every time.
There you go.
That's right. Very important.
Who stretched it out for 2 years? Senator Bob Gold Bars from Egypt, Menendez, who claimed he was Catholic, and he's opposed Joe Sella's nomination because Joe Sella is Catholic, because he actually believed what the Catholic Church believed on marriage. And Menendez is like, well, I don't know about this. Are you going to be discriminatory and bigoted against, people, diplomats
Mm-hmm.
in our diplomatic corps who are LGBT? There is absolutely no evidence that Catholics who are pro-life and pro-marriage, who believe the church's teachings on marriage, are discriminatory against people who are LGBT, whatever. So why would you just make that assumption? And you're Catholic. Why are you attacking a fellow Catholic? They drag these things out. The whole process, the dragging this out, the process is the punishment.
Right.
They did this with Miguel Estrada. They're like, oh, George Bush nominates him to be a judge. And the Democrats are like, no, we can't do this. We're going to stretch this out and delay and delay and delay and delay, because we know once he gets confirmed to be circuit court judge, DC circuit court judge, then 2 years later, when there's a vacancy on the Supreme Court, Bush will make him the first Hispanic in modern memory to be, and it'll be this is no surprise. Democrats admitted this actually in secret memos that my friend pulled off the server. The whole point though is the process is the punishment.
Yeah.
So why Josh, why is he so angry about this stuff? Because there's no reason you need to drag these things out for hearings, so weeks and weeks and weeks and hours, and these long questionnaires did you ever once, were you now or once or ever a member of the Knights of Columbus?
So asking why is Josh so angry about this is an evergreen question on the show. I'd also like to point out and get your confirmation, Josh. So these senators are kind of obsessed with holding onto power through these processes, but don't they release spending bills to them without the time to actually read and then vote on individual things? Okay, so this is another thing too, by the way. One of the things that House Speaker Johnson has done relatively recently is since that we're not doing these omnibus bills. We're actually going to pass bills each, because that's how the normal process would be. Here is the defense appropriations bill. Here is the health and human services appropriation bill.
You vote separately on that.
Right. And you instead of just saying,
read them first.
Here's this ginormous bill to fund the government, and we're going to give you 24 hours to look at it and vote on it. And by the way, the government's going to shut down in 26 hours, so get it done now. It is so obscene and disgusting
We
that
need
they
to
do it
pass
this
the
way.
bill to find out what's in the bill. That was the
Right.
Pelosi line. I mean,
She's not wrong. I mean, that's the whole scheme with the fourth
exactly the
estate.
point.
Like
The goat.
so the whole point though is Johnson, House Speaker Johnson, was taking a step towards good government by saying, no, we'll pass these 13 appropriations bills separately, and trying to institute these rules. Like John Thune is the new Senate Majority Leader coming in onto the Republican side. He's not the greatest thing in the world either. Okay, I get that. But one of the things, as they're debating about who the next leader should be, the Republicans were kind of going back and forth. And one of the reforms that they're going to have is that we're going to actually have an amendments process again. And that's good. And that means sometimes your Republican senator might vote a bad way. But what Mitch McConnell did is like, let's just negotiate in private, put together the bill, and then shove it up there and basically have no amendments. And then you can say, well, I kind of had to vote for the bill because there's other good stuff in it. No, allow normal good government. Allow these members of the Senate to make amendments. And sometimes the left will use an amendment and like, oh, they'll get us on something. Yeah, that's true. But we'll have the ability to say, hey, how about we not have sex change operations for illegal immigrants and
Right.
lock them
Like
in jail?
if I could condense what you're saying here, and what's so frustrating to me about government is like, how do we get the spending for testing Jaguars on treadmills or sex change stuff for a aid package for Ukraine? It's for this reason, right?
Yeah.
Like they'll say, hey, here's a ginormous thing. We're going to give you 2 seconds to read.
We need to fund the government.
And if you don't vote on it, we're going to go to the press and we're going to say, you're the reason the government shut down and you didn't want to vote for like reasonable protection, say, with the United States. You didn't want to vote for aid for the homeless.
Okay.
Because you didn't want to actually read the bill. 2
things that Donald Trump did not do in his first term, I would like to see him do in the second term. Number 1, don't pardon the turkey, kill the damn thing. It would be a very Trumpian move. He should totally do it.
I did not see that coming.
That always bothered me. They pardon the
Merciless,
turkey.
Josh, you're merciless.
We eat the turkey at Thanksgiving. Off with his head. Number 2, I would love for him to actually veto a budget spending bill and say, I care so much about our country and the sick way Washington has gone passing these bills, not giving like 24-hour notice and one big bill and you just have to swallow it all. We're not doing that anymore. I'm vetoing this bill. I don't care if the government has to be shut down for a while.
Right.
We're going to move forward. Give me a bill right now that makes sure that Social Security get payment. I'll sign it. Give me a bill that makes sure that the parks are open. I'll sign it. Give me a bill that'll make sure veterans get their help. I'll sign it. And I'm going to use the power of the government to make sure that that the parks stay open or whatever. But I'm not going to just sign an omnibus bill anymore. I'll veto it. I'm going to make you guys do your job and break these bills up. And I'd like to see him implement other reforms like impoundment. They got rid of that with Nixon because Nixon was a good guy. But like, I got to get rid of it.
What's
say,
impoundment?
What's that? Yeah. Like
There's a
impounding your
great interview I would recommend everyone listen to Tucker Carlson interviewing Russ Vought. He was the acting director of Office of Management and Budget. When Mick Mulvaney got tapped to be chief of staff, he became the acting director of it. He was the deputy before that. And he was the guy that Bernie Sanders attacked for being a Christian during his confirmation hearings. Anyway, Russ is a good guy. He's a friend of Catholic Vote. So is his wife, Mary. Anyway, Russ, he gets in there. He's like, we need it. He talked in this interview with Tucker Carlson. I recommend him. It's like an hour and a half. It's great. He talks about empowerment. Empowerment was used for the first 150 years of our country, where the president would say, I know you authorized the government to spend $150,000 to study gerbils on treadmills, licking their noses, but I'm not actually going to spend that money because I'm still the executive. I'm in charge of executing the laws that the Congress has. So I'm not going to spend that money. And Congress would be like, oh, wait a minute. And that's how it worked in a checks and balances of our system for the first 150 years. And then Nixon, because the whole Watergate and the CIA, doing a coup to get him out of power, what happened then is Congress passed the Empowerment Reform Act, which basically means get rid of impoundments forever. I want a president to get in there and exercise his constitutional authority to do impoundments, saying, nah, not going to spend money on that, sorry. And have Congress go, you can't do that. And just fight this between the two branches. And that the Supreme Court is smart, has proper deference to the rules and say, hey, it's between you guys. You got to figure it out. And that would be lovely.
I am all about a return to the system of checks and balances.
Let's
and
return to our constitutional order, people.
Article 1, 2, 3. Let's just get in our lane, people.
Dave's Vault. Okay, I'd like to start with a pre-Twilight Zone, although I know we're going long, but this is too good not to. So, Josh, I know you're somewhat of a commercial critic, and Jaguar, or Jaguar for our British listeners.
Yeah, they always do the snobby British pronunciation they have.
Well, Josh, you're going to really appreciate this one.
I have not heard about this rebrand. What is this?
They have rebranded Jaguar. They've changed their logo, and they came out with a triumphant new commercial. Let's watch.
Oh, the logo sucks already.
What? What? Whoa! What?
No, thank you. I don't want a United
Well,
Color.
I don't want to ever see a
Benetton
Jaguar car again.
Jaguar ad.
Did you notice anything missing from this ad?
The car.
The
car and what?
The Jaguar.
And the
animal.
Jaguar. They've removed the animal and the car. I don't know. What was this?
What focus group did this get by? Because this makes no sense to me that every consumer trend is towards the more traditional, is towards the just give us the product and make it good. This is bucking every trend in advertising.
Hey, they did say copy nothing. They said copy nothing.
Cute animals are the #1 click next to cute babies. Why would you get rid of the beautiful kitty?
I have to say, Top Gun 2, when it came out last year, was such a phenomenal blockbuster hit.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, yes, I actually remember that country. That's what I want. More of this, please. This is awesome. And it was a smash hit. And I think it reinvigorated the imagination of so many Americans. Like, oh my gosh, yes, that is the country I want, And Jaguar's like, why don't we double down on this Bud Light Mulvaney stuff?
Yeah.
What? No, dude.
So I was trying to look into this.
Crash.
It made no sense, and it was universally panned. And I think they were even fighting with people in their own comments about because people were trashing it, and then Jaguar's admin would be like, no, we're actually copying nothing. It's crazy. No, this is a serious rebrand. And I guess their U.S. sales are down 80% since 2017. They only sell one car right now, and it's the SUV, I believe, the F-Pace SUV. And they're transitioning everything. Sorry, not to use transition as a joke.
Yeah.
They're transitioning everything to EV models. So electric vehicle. This is kind of their electric transition. And they actually haven't previewed a concept for any car at this point, but they are going to at Miami Art Week on December 2nd. So very curious to see what that looks like. But yeah, bold play from Jaguar. I just didn't even I just had to throw that out there for the consumption of Josh, because I didn't really know what to do with it mentally. Glad we figured it out.
Yeah, Jaguar's gone from
Okay, Josh, your Twilight Zone.
Well, again, I love it when secular media sources discover traditional Catholicism. It's like
Petri dish.
I know. They put on their safari hats. Like, what do we got here? And so this phenomenon continues with Inside Higher Ed, which is the commie rag of the secular elites who run most of the colleges across the country. So they have an article talking about basically, because the Newman Guide, Patrick Riley and all those great guys at the Cardinal Newman Society, love those guys. I love their work. I've been a big supporter of them for many years. Big fan of their work. They put together that Newman Guide that talks about, there you go, there's
Catholic University sent us some merch. I got to get it out to Josh and Erica, but they sent me this cool mug. So shout out to them.
The Cardinal Newman Society does a great service to the Catholic Church by putting together the Newman Guide, and they go through and they examine Catholic colleges and universities all across the country based on a lot of factors, but including primarily the number one focus would be fidelity to Catholic teachings, and then also what is the student life like? Because University of Notre Dame might convince some of their older traditional donors, oh, we're good, but what is campus life like? Is it still indistinguishable from Indiana University, where everything?
I think Notre Dame is on the comeback a little bit.
I do. I'm just saying in general, Cardinal Newman Society does this great job and service to the church in doing that. Well, so now this has caught the attention of Inside Higher Ed. And this article says religious colleges that lean into their identity make gains. Of course, their headline,
Shocker.
stricter Christian colleges seem to be experiencing enrollment increases as religious families become wary of secular institutions. Wary, yeah.
Wary?
They don't want their daughter to go to, Beer State University, come back with a pierced earring and blue hair and say, "Oh, I like women now." Like, hello.
Look who was featured first.
Hey,
Franciscan University of Steubenville.
Yep.
Shout out to any Barons listening in the chat.
They mentioned that Franciscan has an increase in their enrollment, 6%. And they mentioned other colleges like
Notre Dame of the South?
No. Maybe they do, but I kind of ignore that one.
Jealous.
But they mentioned Benedictine College in Kansas, another great school, had a big enrollment.
Great school.
Christendom in Virginia, big, massive enrollment jump. So all these schools are facing, more and more students going there. Again, the safari effect, like, oh, what is
Right.
going on here?
Whoa.
They've never
This exotic creature.
believes in what they believe. And so the interview in this is what cracks me up about this. They interview somebody, because there are Catholic organizations as well that deal with higher education. And so they interview this woman, Donna Carroll, who's president of this, I would like to refer to it as a very secular Catholic organization, the Association of Catholic Colleges and Universities. So Donna Carroll has decided to share her wisdom about why we're seeing this boom. Why they would go to them first rather than talking to Patrick Riley, who would know better what's going on at Christendom and at Benedictine and at Franciscan. Let's talk to Donna Carroll. Let's see what she has to say. I just love this. She goes, she says that some Catholic students want to be in the thick of the dialogue on hot button topics and choose institutions where, other students, she says, are looking for a kinship and a homo. I just want to, just like the way she says something. She says she believes Cardinal Newman institutions tend to offer what? She says institutional safety.
No, ideological safety.
Ah, yes, ideological safety.
Ideological safety.
Which she views as a positive for those who want it. Like, so she's not going to condemn it outright, but like ideological safety. Are you kidding me? By the way, I went to Hillsdale, which is not Catholic, okay? But when I was there, it was.
Were you ideological safe? Were you
no,
okay?
It was not ideological.
No.
It was a brawl. We had,
Did someone hurt you with their words, Josh? And are they in the room?
There was Patrick Buchanan, types, restrictionists on trades versus the, Austrian economics, free market types. You had atheists, you had Catholics, you had everyone. It was a intellectual diversity, even though we're most kids, center right, of course.
Yeah, but Josh, did they even offer you puppies or cookies after presidential elections?
Oh my gosh. Coloring books like Georgetown did?
It seems like a prison.
Yeah.
It seems like prison fights going on at your college. They didn't even have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
This
outrageous.
whole notion of ideological safety when you adhere to the truth of Catholicism it shows, sadly, her own lack of real confrontation with the truth of the Catholic faith. The truth of the Catholic faith, Jesus Christ is anything but safe, right? Think of Aslan. He's not a tame lion. So if you are actually getting an education in the truths of the Catholic faith, in the truths discoverable by human reason and Western philosophy, you will be challenged. You will be challenged to change your life and to transform your behavior in a way that these like wide ideological spectrum where whatever goes, except for Orthodox Catholicism, by the way, where you will be ostracized from Georgetown's campus.
It's always
a game. Let's play a quick game. Let's play a quick game.
Okay, I love
can't remember if you were here, Josh, but I remember the New York Times report on University of Michigan's DEI initiative being, I believe, like a $500 million effort to, include and bring new ideas and offer, dialogue. Like, seriously, think about it for a second. Do you think that Hillsdale College, think about the term ideological safety. Which would be ideological safer, University of Michigan or Hillsdale College right now?
University of Michigan is extremely ideologically safe for all woke people. If you're, like they have the whole safe spaces and I mean, again, it's almost like it's like hermetically sealed so that you won't be exposed to any dangerous, like non-leftist ideas at the place. I mean, give me a break.
Just like the audience of The View.
Right.
It's hermetically sealed. You don't need
unless you're Jewish, then you might get whacked in the back of the head
Oh
on
my
University of
gosh.
Michigan's campus. I mean, it's that
Shameful.
right. The whole
Or
thing
if you
is
wear a
falling apart.
Jerusalem cross around your neck, then you might get whacked.
Or if you wore a red Trump hat, you imagine what that would be like.
Yeah.
MAGA.
All right, Erica.
All right, I'm gonna go with Deus Vult because you said it, and here we go. Speaking of Jerusalem crosses, this was all over the weekend. Pete Hegseth's chest tattoo.
This is a good one.
We're not chest feeding; we are tattooing our chests here. So he has on his chest. If you go into that, you can scroll down. You can see a massive tattoo. The AP saw the picture, and their reporter was like, "Oh my gosh, he's a Nazi. He's wearing a white supremacist symbol, and he's starting on his bicep. We have Deus Vult, which is a white supremacist slogan." Other tattoos we have. Basically, this is just the religious lack of literacy in spaces like the AP newsroom is staggering. On Pete Hegseth's chest, as you can all see, who are watching along, that is a Jerusalem cross, which is a longtime ancient Christian symbol of the faith. It has nothing to do with Nazism. And in fact, I'm pretty sure Hitler would not have been a fan of the Jerusalem cross because of, it comes from Jerusalem where all the Jews live. Anyway, Deus Vult. Deus Vult is when the Pope was urging Christians in his congregation to carry out the First Crusade and liberate Jerusalem from the Muslim hordes. The people responded to him, according to legend, Deus Vult, like let it be done according to God's will. God wills it, literally. That's what it means. It is not a white supremacist
Well, and I guess
slogan.
The question we have to ask ourselves is like, if some, like again, the number of true white supremacist, race hating, white people is infinitesimal. It's tiny.
Yeah, but Josh, also nothing to do with this.
I know. Hold on, and it's like, that number has gone down and down and down and down and down and down. And in fact, if it ever became extinct, it would be a lament of the left because they need those people. Because anytime they want to attack Republicans, all they have to do is quote some of these nut jobs and give them more vote, more visibility. And so, like, if some nut job on his computer says, "I hate all races, I'm a white supremacist, and I'm going to embrace Deus Vult." Okay, does that mean I don't get to use it anymore because some dipwhip on a computer does it? Like, no, that's not how this works. Like, if some communist, actual communist says some slogan, and then do I get to tar an entire political party because of that? Do I get to say to 50% of the country or 48% of the country that voted for Kamala Harris, I get to wring their necks around what some idiot behind a keyboard did? Is that how this works? No, I don't think so.
I love the comments that were like, these are Christian nationalist symbols, though. I'm like, yeah, we've been over this. I'm okay with Christian nationalists.
I mean, the Jerusalem cross, I knew people that would go on pilgrimages and get that tattoo from a tattoo shop that had been doing it almost to the time, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. It was very cool. But shout out to my boy, Sam. So, like, to give you perspective on my boy, Sam, we both went to Ava together, loves medieval history, maybe the biggest medieval history head I know in my life.
Oh, can we have him on? This is
great. Dude, he was the best. And he also loved The Sopranos too, super random. But when I was an RA, I would have to make rounds, and he would just be in the third floor common room listening to the Sopranos soundtrack, reading medieval history with a goblet. And that was just a standard, Tuesday night for my boy Sam. But I texted him, I was like, what am I missing about Deus Vult? Like, we always said it as a joke in college, God wills it. He's like, like, LOL, leave it to the libs to not get over something that happened 900 years ago. Originally in the Bible, it just means God wills it. So you could pretty much say that before anything. It was basically just a Crusader war chant. They would shout it before going into battle. But it actually got popular in the 1800s in France when people started romanticizing the Crusades. So even that's not technically accurate. So, I mean, the main point that Josh made here, it's not really about historical accuracy, right? Like, it's just we see a weird symbol and we're trying to slander people. But I just got a kick out of it texting Sam. I was like, yeah, this definitely does not mean what they're saying it means, right? He's like, yeah, no, I love that phrase. We said it all the time. Okay. And in the interest of time, I got a quick, fun last one. Okay. So I'd like to throw out some more controversy. Here's an experience of the lifetime, and let's get our takes on it on the podcast. So, many people, it's a dream to travel to Rome, kind of like Catholic Mecca. What if you got an Airbnb there, but said Airbnb was fighting in the Colosseum?
Woo.
So we have in Rome an evening experience hosted by Lucius from New Gladiator 2. And if you take a look at the pictures here, this could be you. You could fight in the actual Colosseum.
Oh my goodness.
All because Airbnb did a deal with whatever government agency is in charge of the Colosseum.
Are there lions?
I don't know if there'll be lions. That's to be seen.
No jaguars for sure.
So let's just read some of the copy here. Hail. So you wish to step into the role of a gladiator. This path is not for the faint of heart. However, if you believe you possess the courage, let us open the gates to Rome's legendary Colosseum to test the limits of your strength and honor. There, under the dark of night, we will determine who is born for victory and who is for defeat. Will you answer the call of destiny in the world's most famous battleground, or languish in cowardice?
Wow.
And I assume they're going to use some type of like fake weaponry to get you going. Now, that on its own is crazy enough. However, hilarious reaction to this. We are not Disneyland. Outrage in Rome over Airbnb gladiator battles at the Colosseum.
I would imagine, yeah.
Some people in Rome aren't super thrilled about this, saying that the 2,000-year-old venue is now the scene of a new epic clash. And I think, what did we get at the end? It's from their center-left party. The Archaeological Park of the Colosseum did well to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Historical Reenactment Associations, also guaranteeing tourists a gladiator show in high scientific quality coordinated by the Ministry Officials of Culture, and that is in response to their criticism. Let me find, this guy's pretty angry about it. A publicity stunt by Airbnb after having effectively taken possession of the historic center, completely distorting it and turning it into a large tourist park, now wants to ridicule the Colosseum, he said on Friday. We are not Disneyland. We are Rome. Every now and then, someone seems to forget it. Are we in or are we out on this experience?
I'm so out on.
You're out.
Yeah. The Colosseum, he's right. It's not Disneyland. It's actually like sacred ground for Christians. And so I'm going with let's go play gladiator out in the foyer of the Forum or something, the Forum Farid. And let's let the Colosseum be what it is, which is it's the site of the martyrdom of thousands of Christians, or hundreds of Christians probably. So
I do like the fact that, was it last year that Russell Crowe took a shot, selfie with him and of the Coliseum and saying, taking some kids to see The Office. It was pretty cool.
That's funny though. That's not like, I'm Russell Crowe. Pay me $1.5 million and you can fight me in the Coliseum.
So Josh, you're out. On the record, you're out as well.
I don't know.
Tacky.
Oh, shrug shoulders.
Yeah.
Now, one of my favorite things is have you seen the videos of people using like Nerf swords to fight in the field?
Yeah.
It's so funny.
What?
That's
yes, Josh. There's legitimate like competitions that people enter into with simulated weapons that are basically Nerf, and they have referees and stuff. And then you can like whip around this big ball and like hit someone, and
We're
it's
talking
insane.
about like fifth graders.
No, full-grown adults. Yeah.
We have opinions in the chat.
Wait, we do?
The Colosseum was built for entertainment. It was ancient Rome's Disneyland. Okay, but a martyr. Yeah, a little bloodier.
True.
Little bloodier than Disneyland. But it's a fair point. It was a tourist attraction.
I don't know. I'm not completely out on it because isn't Rome, like, they don't have any functional economy. Europe is basically the world's tourist site right now.
It depends heavily on tourism.
Well, I mean, like, certainly if it became a spectacle of total debauchery again, I would not like that. But if they're going to do something like some sort of recreating thing, like this is what was once done, like, I don't know, does that seem, whatever? It doesn't seem to me to be totally crazy. I don't know.
Like Plymouth Plantation.
So Josh, let's also, for the audience, Josh has gotten more upset about Senate impoundment than the Colosseum, people fighting the Colosseum.
Which is rightly so. because that's important to our lives.
Listen, the good people that support Catholic vote want me on that wall. They want me fighting on these issues for impoundment.
It's your own Coliseum, Josh. This is your own arena.
It matters. What I'm talking about actually really matters a lot.
Exactly. I'm with Josh on this one.
Josh is our legislative gladiator. We went way late on this one. And I honestly left a bunch of stuff in the chopping block. I know. This is a fun episode. I have way more to talk about. We're going to have a fun show on Friday, though. So go check out Refine, Erica's new endeavor. It's going to be awesome. I will sign your pot. And
you know what happened, Tom? We gave people an extra 10, 15 minutes because we're sponsored by Charity Mobile. You know, we're giving back.
Dude, good plug. Josh. Well played, because we're very charitable.
Smooth.
That's it.
Pro-life on the phone.
Gosh, we're good. Okay, shout out to Charity Mobile for sponsoring the episode. If you like, join the Champions Club. Best way to help us out. Appreciate it. Leave us. Oh, actually, sorry. I know this is a super late episode, but this guy wrote the funniest review on Apple Podcasts, and you can do it too. I laughed so hard when I read this. Okay, shout out to Joseph Harden, the latest review. He said, "This podcast makes me run faster. I've enjoyed listening to this podcast for the past few months leading up to the election. After a while, I decided to stop listening to hype music when I run. Instead, I listen to the Loopcast. To my surprise, I've been running faster than ever since. There's no going back. Love the mix of opinions, perspectives between Pogo, Josh, and Erica." Come on. Now.
Hey, it helps your workout.
What podcast will make you run faster? Probably like David Goggins or something, but also the Loopcast. We're right there.
I love it.
So go leave us a review. We appreciate that. St. Thomas More, St. Fidelis, Our Lady of Guadalupe. Pray for us.